Turn up the volume on communities of color in the climate conversation. Connect everyday people with the resources they need to survive and thrive, and highlight frontline climate justice crusaders of color throughout this year. KBLA Talk 1580 will be bringing you insightful interviews on all of our shows to help raise your climate IQ. Each quarter this year, we will also be hosting free climate events in various communities throughout the city with food, fun, and forward-thinking conversations. Thanks to partners like LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, the Sierra Club, the California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, AQMD, MWD, and more. You'll also be hearing more about a couple of national town halls broadcasting live from Los Angeles, to which you will be invited. And we'll be rolling out a robust social media campaign on all our platforms, as well as an outdoor media campaign, all designed to educate, enlighten, and empower you in our fight for climate justice.
We want cleaner air.
Caring about the community means caring about the climate. At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that we really can change the world if we care enough. 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 If we care enough.
All my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life I've been grinding all my life. Look, all my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life I've been grinding all my life. Look, I'm married to this game. That's who I made my wife. Said I die alone. I told that she probably right. One thing that's for sure, not a stranger to this life. Got a safe that's full of Franklins and a shoulder full of stripes. Don't know it like myself. I say self-made, meaning I design myself. County jail fade, you can pull my foul yourself. Spot rage, swallow rocks, I'm getting high myself. Nah, damn right I like the life I built. I'm from West Side 60, I might got killed. Standing so tall, they think I might got stills. Legendary baller like Mike, like Wilt. 96 Impala, thug life on wheels. Up against the wall, squabble at Fox Hills. Like a mother boss, ask me how I feel. Successful street, touching them first meals.
Welcome in. Happy Tuesday. You are locked in to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. I hope that you are relaxed, seated. I hope that you take a moment to give birthday blessings to the Empress Rihanna, the billionaire. Happy birthday, Ree. And you are ready to get into some trending topics. Of course, here on RSVP with Jill Munroe, we're going to get into all of the trending topics across entertainment, sports, lifestyle, and culture. And there is a lot to get into tonight. So let me give you a rundown of the topics that we're going to get into, some of the headlines. So we've been hearing for the past, 6 weeks, a lot about Shannon Sharpe, Club Shay Shay. The comedians have gone wild. I mean, in some ways, Shannon Sharpe and Cat Williams have almost single-handedly revitalized the comic business, I feel. You know, there hasn't been this much conversation about this many black comics in quite some time. But with that spotlight, with that applause, there's always the flip side, right? There's always the glare. And so there's been a couple of incidents that have come up with Shannon, some commentary. And now the question is, does Shannon Sharpe simply need to develop thicker skin and just recognize this is part of the game? We're going to get into that and some of the beefs and where they're at with that. And hour two, Floyd Mayweather in a recent interview said that he won't talk bad about Diddy and his current situation because he's a black man and everyone makes mistakes. He also went on to add what he would do or how he would feel if his daughter was in the same position as Cassie or some of the other alleged women who are suing Diddy. So we're going to talk about that. And then in the third hour, as I said, you know, Shannon Sharpe and Cat Williams have owned 2024 thus far. And so it continues. Nicki Minaj is headed out on tour, and she is talking about bringing Cat Williams in. And I kind of want to talk about that from a different perspective. One, as I said, are we seeing a resurgence, albeit through negative, commentary, of the black comedian? something that is kind of, mostly lived online these past couple of years as far as social media. And those are the guys that have really been making noise. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Plus, we're going to get into some other stories because there are plenty, as is the news cycle. And as always, we have a couple of conversation starters. These are topics, things that you need to be aware about, right? So first up, we've been loving the Tiny Desk drops this year. They have been, well, I guess it's actually last year up and through this year. So there's another one on the way tomorrow. Jeezy's Tiny Desk drops tomorrow. So we're going to tap in with that, see what songs he pulls out to perform, see what the vibes are. We love seeing these intimate performances with a live band, especially the hip hop ones. I think it gives some depth to hip hop that we haven't seen in a while. So shout out to that. That's coming up. And also, I forgot to talk about this yesterday, but All-Star Weekend, we talked a couple of weeks back about women shooting their shot and how, for me personally, I'm not a fan of it. Not for anybody else, just me personally. Well, rapper Glorilla shot her shot at Milwaukee Bucks star three-point contest winner, and he won the MVP of the game, too, the All-Star game, I believe. Dame Lillard. She shouted him out on Instagram. She posted the two took a photo together, and so she reposted it and said, "Whose ninja is this? 'Cause I want him." Very straightforward, very to the point, right? And then sometimes later, she followed it up with, "And whoever she is, she can't whoop me, so I really DGAF." Very blunt and to the point. Well, Mason Cameron had a debate about this on It Is What It Is, and both agreed that, maybe it might be, Mace felt that it might be something that Dame could do for clout and help his rap career, but Cam was firmly in the, at this point in life, Dame doesn't need that type of attention in his life. She's already talking about whooping the exes. What do we want with this? But shout out to the girls shooting their shot. You don't know what can happen, and you never know what can happen in a DM behind closed doors. But, yeah, so go Glow. Yeah, Glow. I will say, shout out to her new single. That is my joint. That one bumps. So, maybe there's hope for female hip hop yet. When we come forward, we're going to get into more trending topics and headlines. We're going to get into the YouTube chat. It is always lit. So if you want to add the visual experience to this audio experience, hop in there and get some of that. All of that and more on the other side. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do Black history every single day. In fact, as the only Black talk radio station west of the Mississippi, we are Black history. Our annual Black History Month luncheon is fast approaching, and we want to be sure to give you ample time to get your company, organization, church, or group to join us at this year's celebration on the last day of the month, Thursday, February 29th at noon. Last year, we honored iconic local Black media personalities, including Pat Harvey, Jim Hill, Mark Brown, Beverly White, Sandy Banks, and Pat Prescott, and raised $20,000 in scholarships. This year, we're honoring Black Hollywood creatives who have used their artistic genius as climate justice champions. At this year's luncheon, we will be showcasing and sharing their inspiring work on our big screen. Plus, a scrumptious meal, live music, great company, and lots of fun with your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts. So contact us today at info@smileyaudio.com or call 323-290-4690. That's info@smileyaudio.com or call 323-290-4690. We hope to see you Thursday, February 29th as we close out Black History Month. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be a sign that your digestive system isn't working at its best? Taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil fiber powders help promote your daily digestive health using a plant-based fiber called psyllium. The gelling action of this special fiber traps and removes waste so you can feel lighter and more energetic. Metamucil, promoting digestive health for a better you. Learn more at metamucil.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks Vapors in an easy-to-apply stick. And it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower for steamy Vicks Vapors. Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower use for adults only.
Hey, keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So in more announcement athlete news and kind of related, Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson have announced the formation of All the Smoke Productions. If you recall, a few months ago, it was announced that Showtime Sports was dismantling and would be no more. Showtime Sports was the home for Showtime Boxing for a very long time, as well as the All the Smoke podcast. And now they are no more. So now they have started their own production company, along with one of the executives who was at Showtime for their show. In addition to that, they have added to the mix Rajon Rondo. He'll have a podcast with them over there, which I'm sure will be quite interesting. DeMarcus Cousins, Rachel Nichols, and they already have KG, Kevin Garnett, The Ticket, and Paul Pierce, The Truth, as well. And so they'll also be looking to, like many others, create original docuseries, et cetera, but of course, starting with the core of the podcast thing. Matt also recently announced that he will be moving on from his broadcast job of 3 years with the Sacramento Kings. It is believed that some of that might have something to do with an altercation that happened at his son's basketball game a few weeks back, where a student announcer for Harvard Westlake said that Matt it was on video, actually, the whole situation. Matt was protesting a foul call against his son, and he walked out onto the court a bit, and he alleges that the student announcer was disrespectful and told him to get his expletive off the court. And Matt says he simply asked him if he thought it was appropriate to speak to him like that. So there's video of it. There was no official action taken either by Crespi, the school that his twin boys attend, which is also coached by their stepfather, Derek Fisher. We all know the saga with that, but the two are cool now. And Harvard Westlake. So cheers to new beginnings, as Matt said. And, hopefully the situation was, as he said, and just a misunderstanding with the student athlete. He has since spoken out about it, but, as we talked about recently, sometimes it's hard for people to move beyond your past actions. That's why people tell you to be cautious. So I also want to let you know about a new club that is opening in Vegas. It's called the Pinky Ring, and it's Bruno Mars's new lounge at the Bellagio, right? And the thing that's cool about this is I talk about the fact that I think privacy is going to make its way back into the mix of our daily lives because we expose so much, we're exposed to so much. I mean, do I think that aspect is going to totally go away? No, but I do think that there are people in situations where privacy will be valued more. And this is one of them. There's a no phone policy, no pictures, And from what I understand, the lounge is beautiful, beautiful, excuse me. The vibe that it sets is very kind of 50s, 60s, retro, that Art Deco-y kind of vibe, like the Rat Pack inspirations like that. And they have displays of his Grammys, and so to speak, it's like a jazz club almost. So if you're in Vegas, check it out. There's live music nightly at 9 p.m. It opens at 5. And, let us know what the vibes are like inside and get into it. Okay. Terry in the chat is already going in on our main topic of the hour. He says, I thought Shannon Sharpe loves attention and loves being a superstar. So Shannon has a humble, low-key side. I've never seen it even when he was in the NFL. Well, I think that it's not so much about Shannon not having a humble or low-key side, or even if he has it or not. It has nothing to do with that. It is, the old saying, to whom much is given, much is required. And so with a lot of attention, with the highest viewed interview on YouTube, with all the attention that it garnered, not only for Club Shay Shay, but the halo effect for the nightcap, for Cat Williams, for the tour, followed up with the Monique interview, he's now a target. Comedians are going to take a situation and use it as a punchline, as a throwaway to get attention back on themselves. Mike Epps clearly said, he was sad his name didn't get mentioned. He had a comedy special that he was coming to Netflix with. He could have used the attention, right? They've since come to their man-to-man, mea culpa, whatever you want to call it, right? But now Eddie Griffin and even Mace are taking swipes at Shannon. So over the weekend, Eddie Griffin was just another comedian that was added to the mix, talking about Shannon Sharpe, making jokes about his sexuality and so forth during his set. And somehow, even though phones technically aren't supposed to be in comedy clubs anymore, footage got leaked, right? So Eddie told the crowd, in Club Shay, yeah, he's gay. I don't care, and I'm paraphrasing here because, I'm not playing the audio, too many bleeps. You guys wouldn't be able to hear it. You wouldn't be able to embrace all of the words with all of the bleeps. He said, I don't care what he says. He's gay. Sitting there with those tight pants on, with his private parts all up in Cat's face. You can't tell me how he moves, how he drinks, etc., etc., and he goes on and on. The thing about this is, one, halfway, these guys are comedians. They're going to take any shot, any swipe they can. Two, they know that right now, Shannon's name is hot. So anything attached to it, they're looking to get mentioned on his shows. Let's be realistic. His live streams on Nightcap are bringing in like 75,000 live viewers. And that's just on a regular night now. So people want to be attached to it, right? So, of course, Shannon struck back a little bit, and he said that, if that's what they want to do, fine, have at it. He said that he gave his sister his word that he was moving on. He also admitted that how he handled the Mike Epps situation was not ideal, and that, in the private conversation, they both apologized to each other. Now, Chad brought up a point before this Eddie Griffin situation happened, and he said, listen, as far as I'm concerned, you need to speak out and let these people know, because if you don't, they're going to keep coming at you. Well, they've continued to come at him regardless. So I'm not sure what the best approach is as far as Shannon. I mean, I do think he should ignore, the quips about his sexuality. You don't have to answer to that either way. But I think he also should recognize that he is in a position of power at this point. He did show off his new purchase. He said he got a cotton candy Rolex, and that, the price tag on that was about $200,000, and that was from the Cat Williams proceeds. He also indicated that he is going to gift Cat Williams with something, which I think a lot of people have wondered, was he going to do that? He did not pay Cat for the interview. Surely both of them have benefited, but we know financially speaking, without a doubt, Shannon has. So we'll see where this saga continues to go and dive in. Like I said, Mace jumped into the fray the other day. And, Mace came at him very strongly. And again, it's something that other people have mentioned, but I do think sometimes people forget that he's still a professional, right? And even though he's very, very loose, and that is the environment, there's still sponsors, there's still a decorum, a tact that you should present. You can't just go off on everybody all the time just because they disagree or they're looking for attention or, maybe they're standing 10 toes down on whatever they feel. But, Mace and Shannon have had a couple of back and forths through their shows. So recently, Shannon called Mace a gangster pastor. And that was in response to Shannon and Mike Epps back and forth, right? And so what Mace said was, your boy chose to target me about the sets and the working out and all of that. He called me a fake pastor. This was on yesterday's show of It Is What It Is. I don't want to say his name, but when we were talking about the dips and the sets and all of that, and Mike Epps. So basically, Cam caught on to what was going on. And so Mace said, I wanted to tell him, listen, Shannon, I'm not the one to play with. Matter of fact, I'm not even going to take that road. I'm going to take a different road with you. He then went on to go into the situation that happened with Shannon and Skip, right? Well, before he went into that, he talked about all of the feuds that Shannon has been in with that involved black men publicly and how he responded. He talked about the issue with John Morant's father at the Lakers game last year, right? He talked about the situation with Mike Epps where he threatened to put hands on him. But he says that when it came to his argument with Skip, that Skip told him to put his glasses back on, and Shannon complied and put his glasses back on. Mace said, you want to be aggressive with me, right? Listen, you showed poise, respect, wherewithal, resolve, compassion, and reverence for Skip Bayless. Why are you so aggressive anytime somebody black says something? The man said, put your glasses on, and you put your glasses back on. Don't play with me. Put your glasses back on, Shannon. So I don't know why they're coming so aggressively at Shannon. Is it just jealousy because, for a minute, Mace and Cameron were the darlings of the internet podcast world. Everybody was talking about It Is What It Is. They were growing and climbing. And then this interview dropped. Maybe not. Maybe it's not sour grapes. Maybe this is really how they feel. But I wonder, do people really genuinely feel that Shannon should have done something different with Skip, that it would have benefited Shannon to hop across the desk and, pop Skip in the mouth on national television? Skip is 70-something years old. Do we really think that that is what he should have done? Should he have cursed him out? I don't know. I also, they've talked about some things and behind the scenes and how he moved, but do we think that these are fair quips that the comedians and Mace and Steven Jackson as well are aiming at Shannon? Or is it simply Shannon just needs to take the little darts and arrows thrown at him and be like Stevie Wonder to the situation? Charlemagne the God jumped in. He said that Shannon needs to rise above it all. He said basically he's making his money and that, when you're at the top of the mountaintop, people are going to take swipes at you, whether they know they're jealous or not. It's just the natural thing to critique or have commentary. That's the industry that we're in, and that Shannon should be bigger than that, and he should know. It is interesting to me that he got so sensitive. I don't know. He's been Unc for so many years, and I guess maybe he felt like, does the love betray us? But I feel like he's been through so much, so many up and downs. He was at CBS for so many years, a little more conservative environment. He couldn't really fully be himself. The situation where he was removed from CBS, the accusations, he cleared his name, which he has gone on to say it's so interesting to me because he talks about his love for younger women and those situations, but he also talks about how, because at one point Shannon was accused of, and I'm not sure if a lot of people are aware of this, was accused of some harassment accusations. Not sure how it all the way ended, but I do believe that he wasn't found guilty in court or anything like that. But he said that it has changed how he interacts with people. He doesn't believe in being alone with women who are strangers. For example, if an elevator comes and a woman is alone on the elevator, he will not get on that elevator. He will wait for another one. And I just think it's interesting how he continues to adjust his life. He says that he doesn't spend as much time out in public anymore. And so I just wonder, Shannon has been famous for a very long time, 30 plus years, but I guess not in this capacity. And is fame starting to weigh on him? Is it somehow different from when he was an NFL star, Super Bowl champion, Hall of Famer, has been on television for the past 20 years or so? So, is it starting to weigh him down? Andy?
Well, he recently saw what Michael Irvin went through, so he probably was like, you know what, I'm a football player. I'm black just like him. Let me fall back just a little bit.
That's an excellent point. I did forget about that. And we know that Michael Irvin is also suing that hotel corporation. And I think, something with the NFL Network about his contract, or maybe they worked that out. But it's a delicate time because it's believed women 100%. We know the situations and how people end up in awkward places, and the person with the less known name, the less known power, can sometimes be pushed around and re-victimized. But at the same time, it's so easy to target people where we are today. And because there's very little innocent until proven guilty checks and balances to a degree, especially as far as things can spread and how quickly they can move through the court of public opinion, it does warrant changing how you move. But I just wonder if he's truly happy with all the moves, because it seems like his whole approach and demeanor is shifting before our very eyes for things that I feel like he probably wouldn't have tripped or imagined would have affected him as much a few months prior. When we come forward, we're going to get into more trending topics and headlines. You are locked in to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. News and sports up next.
Kid, in addition to that fact, I went legit. I'm the now according to the way that I'm positioned. In this biz, it look like I'm just going to keep on getting rich. Know them West Side RSCs is us. LAPD on my I'ma squeeze and bust. If a rap diss, Swiss cheese is bust. All this rap money, look, I need too much. Money, loyalty, and love in the dream we trust. You'll be switching up the players on your team too much. Tiny Copy, that's my low, Young Supreme, what's up? And we travel around the world getting cream or what? Ain't you get off on whoever hustle seem to rush? Las Vegas strip pop, yeah, you creamed them punks. After all that looking tough, all he seen was stunts. 50 Cent and Mayweather flee the scene with us.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. The mayor of Atlanta is running for a second term. Andre Dickens announced his re-election campaign to reporters, saying he loves being the mayor of Atlanta and has wanted the job since he was 16 years old. Dickens, who is black, first became mayor back in 2021, defeating Felicia Moore with more than 60% of the vote. Dickens says he's up for the challenge of re-election and hopes to continue his goals of bringing more affordable housing to the homeless in Atlanta. The mayoral election is in 2025. Atlanta voters will have a chance to decide on whether or not to increase a 1-cent sales tax this spring. The city council voted to put the measure on the ballot in May, which would provide more money for water and sewer improvements across the city. Former Mayor Shirley Franklin, who is black, first led the way on the penny tax for water 2 decades ago. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Can your roof handle extreme weather? If you have leaks or a roof that is 20 years old or more, go to localroofs.com to schedule a free roof checkup and estimate. Get a new roof for as low as $198 per month on approved credit. Restrictions apply. Go to localroofs.com.
Climate is king.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that caring for the community means caring about the climate. You might have heard that we announced a pretty bold 12-month, $2 million campaign to do 4 things. Increase climate literacy, turn up the volume on communities of color in the climate conversation, connect everyday people with the resources they need to survive and thrive, and highlight frontline climate justice crusaders of color throughout this year. KBLA Talk 1580 will be bringing you insightful interviews on all of our shows to help raise your climate IQ. Each quarter this year, we will also be hosting free climate events in various communities throughout the city with food, fun, and forward-thinking conversations. Thanks to partners like LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, the Sierra Club, the California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, AQMD, MWD, and more. You'll also be hearing more about a couple of national town halls broadcasting live from Los Angeles, to which you will be invited. And we'll be rolling out a robust social media campaign on all our platforms, as well as an outdoor media campaign, all designed to educate, enlighten, and empower you in our fight for climate justice.
We want cleaner air.
Caring about the community means caring about the climate. At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that we really can change the world if we care enough.
Tips to help improve your credit score in 2024. Establishing credit is an important key to achieving financial health, but building a credit history from scratch can feel challenging since you need credit to build credit. First, what does it mean to build credit? All consumers have a score between 300 and 850. You want your score to be as high as possible as lenders look at your credit score to make loan and credit decisions. A good credit score shows you have a track record of borrowing money responsibly. Remember, it's never too late to build or rebuild your credit. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase & Company.
Environmental justice is racial justice.
Environmental justice is social justice.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment. LA's 99 neighborhood councils form the grassroots level of the Los Angeles city government. The system was created to connect LA's diverse communities to City Hall. While neighborhood council board members are volunteers, they are also public officials elected to office by the members of their community. Neighborhood councils advocate on issues like homelessness, housing, land use, emergency preparedness, public safety, parks, transportation, and sustainability. They also provide local expertise on the delivery of city services to their various communities. Neighborhood councils are open to participation by anyone who is a part of the fabric of daily life in said community. This includes those who live, work, or own property or a business. If you are interested in stepping up to join your local neighborhood council, visit www.empowerla.org. That's empowerla.org. It's time to think globally, but act locally. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
That was another way. I would smoke once an hour. That didn't work either. All that would happen at some point of the day, I would end up doubling up. Other ways that I tried to quit was I stopped buying cigarettes totally. But if I took 3 puffs off of 15 friends, those didn't count because they weren't my cigarettes and they weren't full cigarettes. I went through a lot.
Every attempt is part of your story to quit for good. Visit Kick It California today at kickitca.org.
Watch out! You got me!
The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
better man. You just got to understand.
I said, if you love me, I promise to love you right. Touching you so gently, the fire I ignite. Want you to just hold me, baby, with all your might. Cause when we're about to go, it's so emotional. Cause I just want to lay you down. I'm so into you. Make love I will do. You got me thinking I just want to lay you down. I'm so into you. There's nothing I'll do.
Welcome back into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Andy, I have no idea who that is. Who was that? That was like a little KC JoJo. Got that little growl to it, but I'm curious. I have no clue.
New Key Sweat.
That's Key Sweat?
Lay You Down is the name of the track, dropped about 6 days ago, Valentine's Day.
That's Key Sweat?
Keith Sweat.
No, run that back. Okay, that sounds like Key Sweat.
His voice did sound a little different.
It sounded a little different up front. Okay. All right then, Keith.
Ain't he pushing like almost 70? I mean,
He is. Like, Keith Sweat was grown when I Want Her dropped. He was a stockbroker and things. And I thought he said he was going on a farewell tour. I guess tour, not music, you know. Listen, is there a resurgence of R&B? Are we trying? Do people really want it? Because I see, you know, some of our elder statesmen of the R&B game coming out, dropping things or trying to, but are we there? Are we paying attention?
I mean, you know, shout out to Usher. He dropped a solid album.
Right.
I listened to the whole thing. I was actually proud of the album. And to answer your question, I hope so. I mean, I don't know anybody else other than Chris Brown as well.
Usher, Keith Sweat. Who else?
I know we talked about Jaheim last week.
Right, Jaheim. Tank is always good for an R&B album. You know, I don't know.
I think for us, it'd be something that we'd be looking forward to, but I just don't know about the youngins.
Yeah. Their R&B is different. I mean, they have them. I don't know if they have male R&B artists per se, though.
Well, I mean, like, we got the Victoria Monet.
No, the women have it locked down. It's been the women's period because
Okay.
Summer Walker,
Yeah.
SZA,
Yeah.
Victoria
Facts.
Monet. I mean, list on and on and on. But for the men, I'm talking about the male R&B star. Or I told you, I'm still wondering if we'll ever get an R&B group again. But the male R&B star seems like a thing of, you know, the past, or the ones that are out seem a little what we would have termed neo soul or alternative R&B.
We're just not begging no more. You ain't gonna get that no more. Not from us. Especially, you know, y'all trying to be independent. Y'all trying to be equal with us and everything like that.
That is not why.
I think that's a part of it.
I don't think that's why.
I do.
I think it's a lack of community. I think it's because you're not begging in the rain, like you said.
Exactly. I'm not about to get sick for you. It's COVID, homie. By the
We are
way,
4 years removed.
By the way, 62 years old, Keith Sweat.
62.
62.
Okay. Wow. So that means in '88 he would have. Oh, I guess not that old. He seemed very adult. He would have been 25, 26 when it dropped.
Well, it's funny. Me and my girl was having this discussion too. Like 80s, 90s. I'm even go ahead and say early 2000s. Like high school. Looked like grown men and women.
You think so?
And then, like, you know, when I graduated from high school, 02, class of 02, you already know what it is. Everybody afterwards, I'm like, these are the seniors right now? Like, I went to a high school game, like, a couple years ago, and I was like, yo, these are seniors? They look like middle schoolers. So I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it's just a perception. Maybe the youngsters would look at the seniors and look at them like they're grown. But I don't know.
I think I read this article one time and it talked about the reason why sometimes when we look at older photos that we automatically think that those people of that time looked older is because of how they're styled. And we only associate that style with old things, old times. So it is hard to look at people styled in whatever the particular style was for teenagers at that time period and be able to separate it from, what the adults or what an older person looks like. And so they say that, sometimes the way that we are styled has a lot to do with our perception, at least from the teen years perspective, about what looks older.
I can agree to a degree. I feel like back in the days, I'm going to say 70s, 80s or whatnot, I'm going to speak to like men, grown men. I would always see them in suits. You don't really see that too much. But then again, as you were speaking, it got me thinking about just music, right? Old music videos, 90s or whatnot. And I look back and I'm like, yo, Method Man was 20 right here. Mobb Deep, these cats were 18, 19, but they, and they weren't if you talk about the style, I mean, it was street, right? But they still looked old. You know what I'm saying? You look at today's artists right now. I don't know. They looking like young pups. So like, I don't know if it's a style thing per se. Like with the whole suits thing, I'm with you. But even the quote unquote hip hop attire or whatnot, I look at some of my elders, you know what I'm saying? Some of the people that I grew up listening to. I mean, NWA, look at how they were dressed. They weren't dressed, dapper
they looked
like
old
that.
To you?
In comparison to today's artist, you know what I'm saying?
See, I don't think so. I think that they look, I feel like they look the same because when I think about, like let's say, obviously the style change, casual wear was brought in with Gen X, the slacker generation. Like I told the story when I went to work at Warehouse, we weren't allowed to wear jeans, no denim, which seems crazy now because whatever. And casual Fridays is now casual all week or whatever. But I think NWA very much to me at that time looked like regular teenagers of that era. But then again,
that was your generation.
I was about to say, I'm closer to their ages.
Yes.
So to me, they look like what teenagers look like then. But I don't feel like it looks that different when I look at a little baby.
Really?
Or,
okay.
Like some of the rappers that are out now, like, well, Future's older now, but you know what I'm saying? Like a 21 Savage, like I look in his face, right?
Yeah.
Tattoos and all of that. And to me, if you threw on an LA Fitted, a Pendleton, and some Dickies, I don't think that there's that much difference than, from Cube with the Jerry curl. Cube had a baby face. He still had his, little doughboy because he was chubby. You thought of Cube as the little roly-poly one, right? So I don't know. It might be that, different things. I don't think that this generation, I think the women, and a lot of that has to do with, again, there was no exposure to contouring. We weren't wearing, very few girls were wearing full face makeup when I was in high school. There were some.
Interesting, okay.
But, now you come into...
It was definitely that.
I mean, there were some, but those were the girls that were trying to look older and you considered maybe more mature. But now I feel like there's a baseline more across the board for lashes. Like, acrylic nails were really starting to get popular, like maybe when I was in junior high school. So I had nails like from 8th grade all the way through high school. That was considered a thing, Oh, you can't get red nails. That's for, women, things like that.
So let me ask you, like, after you graduated high school, you went to college or whatnot, and you probably look back at those that kind of came maybe after you or whatnot. You didn't feel that they looked younger. Let me say 5 to 10 years after you know what I'm saying? after you graduated from high school?
Well,
did you not look at them like they looked like they were kids?
I think, well, here's the thing. One thing with me is that I've always had a baby face. So people always have assumed
you could blend in, huh?
That I was younger than what I was. So maybe I didn't like process it in terms like that. Like to me, a lot of times I'm like, they're looking older. I thought that they were maturing faster. When after I was kind of like, whoa, because I think here's an example. I remember when Destiny's Child first dropped, right?
They low-key
and the
grown.
No video, and I was like, they're 17
because they look grown.
They looked grown to me. I was like, those are 17-year-old girls. There at the time, you look back now, and I'm like, no, they looked like girls their age, but at the time, I remember thinking, oh my God, these look like women. Their bodies, the way that they were styled, they look like young women to me. Certainly not 17-year-old teenagers, in my opinion.
Okay, I got an even better example, at least for me.
Okay.
The movie House Party.
Okay.
Just me growing up.
Yes.
As a kid. I was a kid when it came out.
They all looked old.
They looked grown. And low-key, I could watch the movie now and be like, man, they were teenagers at this time?
Here's the
early
thing.
Early 20s?
They were, no, they weren't even early 20s. Like, what I can say is, as one of the few that was in there on set that was an actual high schooler, you see the difference. Do you know what I mean? Like, I look like when you look at, you guys may not know this. I was an extra in House Party.
Story time with Jill Munroe.
It's not story time, but I'm just saying when I look at it and I see the people in there, the ones that I knew that were in high school or maybe weren't, because I wasn't an actress. I wasn't necessarily trying to be. I was a dancer, and that's how I ended up, getting put in there. But I look like a high school student in comparison to, the other people that were in there. I think Kid and Play, they were like 27 at the time, maybe, AJ Johnson certainly was closer to, 30 at that point, late 20s, not early 30s, mid to late 20s. Same with Martin and so forth. So Full Force, obviously, but I think that was part of the gag in putting them in there that, those guys that are around the high school that don't belong but are still stuck in the high school era. But I mean, the reality is there weren't, and they couldn't be. Legally, I should not have been on that set. Legally, I shouldn't have been on that set. It was against the law. And, I had a work permit, but the hours that I was working weren't really, but, at that point in time, people weren't really checking on that type of stuff. But most of the extras, most of the kids in there were not high school kids. So it tracks, I don't know. So anyway, suffice it to say, I think that the transition now, even back then, there always a transition because, you want to feel older when you get into high school and these things. But I think the transition now, looking at middle school, junior high, whatever they call it, to high school, it seems like a big jump. Like, you see the difference when kids that summer in between 8th and 9th grade or whatever happens, there's a big difference now. I think like young ladies are more polished now than they used to be. Like, we had teen magazines and we had videos, but the look wasn't as, everything is uber luxe. Nails were always a part of the composition, but we're more evolved in techniques and things like that. I just, maybe they don't in face look older, but the things that they have access to, the makeup tricks. We weren't contouring back then. Contouring was something that was, mostly used for stage makeup and things of that nature, or, by the gay community. It wasn't an everyday thing as we are now, where it's like, contour your cheekbones, let's highlight here. And it wasn't that. A lot of, you look at even some of the 90s movies and even their glam moments across the board, the beats weren't the same. It was a lot of, clear brow gel and heavy mascara, maybe a strip lash, but just things evolve as time goes on, Shout out to that. I should finish up on this Shannon Sharpe and Mace conversation. When we come forward, we'll get into the resolution of that and where we're at. And then, we're going to talk a little bit about Kevin Durant and his personality issues and things and what he has to say about it. All of that and more on the other side. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
If you're looking for the most epic place on Earth, let's start at the base of a massive waterfall. Then trek through the thick jungle. Then climb to the peak of a snowy mountaintop. Then once you get there, keep going. Because with intelligent 4x4 and 7 drive modes and a Nissan Pathfinder, the search is the real adventure.
Available feature. Intelligent 4x4 cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights and the legal support to back them up. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost people their jobs and livelihoods. This has left an estimated 1/3 of households not being able to make rent and facing losing their homes. This is a fear no one in our community should have to face. You have rights, though, and Stay Housed LA is here to help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and local community and legal service providers. Together, they provide tenants with the information and support needed to exercise their rights so they can remain safely in their homes. Find out more about your rights by participating in a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles County and the City of Los Angeles. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA County for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. That's stayhousedla.org. Or call their hotline at 213-694-0040. We've got your black with a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Some people just know the best places to eat around town. Those are the people who know to choose Allstate. They know exactly where to go to get exactly what you're wanting. They know where to find the spiciest hot pot, the gooeyest brownies, and the tenderest, most flavorful portobello steak. Those people also know that safe drivers save 40% with Allstate.
Saving 40% is based on the national average premium savings for Allstate auto customers with a clean driving record versus those without. Savings vary by state and vary based on how you buy, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So Mace basically said that, maybe he needs to tap into Stephen A. Smith to be a mediator between his little tiff between he and Shannon Sharpe. He also had this to add about Shannon's comments about calling him a gangster pastor. I would tell him, even for your spiritual comment, that was ignorant, because if you know anything about faith, all the people that were apostles and pastors, they died horrific deaths. So it's as gangster as you could be when it talks about doing for others and being tough. So you need to just be educated, Okay, not that Mace isn't wrong, but surely Mace has to understand the confusion of some people in his Pastor Mason Betha-ness, but still in his, Harlem World ways to a degree. Of course, it's not all debauchery, but it's close. And so I'm sure that is confusing for some, right? Shannon told him to pull up and sit his roly-poly self down. So, listen, I do think, Shannon, you got to develop thicker skin. It's your time. And we always say, and we, it's haters. I got haters and da-da-da-da-da. If I don't have haters, I'm not doing anything right, and they're going to come. But when they actually come, you got to just stand 10 tones down on business and relax and let it flow. I do wonder what the direction of Club Shay Shay is going to be, because he has had several comedians in the follow-up. I mean, obviously, it's not just the place to dump because, nothing really explosive came from his Usher interview. There was more explosive clips from Usher's People interview than his interview with Shannon. It was pretty much, straightforward. His 21 Savage interview wasn't too much, but those comedians get on there and seem to go crazy. And, maybe it's time. We're going to get into a little bit more about comedians later with this Dame Dash and Kevin Hart thing, and Nicki Minaj wanting Cat Williams to go on tour with her. At any rate, like I said, Shannon just dropped $200K on a cotton candy Rolex. It's a Yacht Masters. If you're into all of that, I'm curious as to what he is going to get for Cat Williams, and will we hear about it? I don't necessarily think that we have to. I'm just curious if we will. Okay, so I mentioned Kevin Durant. And, Stephen A. Smith recently, as well as Charles Barkley, I think it might have been Charles Barkley, really, said that Kevin Durant is not a leader, that he's a follower. And he said that because, he moves around. He's with all these different teams. We've heard about the cupcake thing with Russell Westbrook back in the day. We've heard about KD's burner accounts and so forth. So, KD is striking back. He was on a podcast with his business partner, Rich Klein, and the interview was released through Bleacher Report and Boardroom today. And so he basically said that the reason why people don't think that he's a leader is because he doesn't have a personality, and that's why he doesn't garner praise in the same way. He said, I'm not as charismatic as my peers. I don't have a personality that's fit for TV. And a lot of those stories of what we talk about don't get spoken about in the media. You just got to sell what you're doing as well. And I haven't sold it enough. I don't feel like I need to. Andy?
Cap. You don't need to have a personality to be a leader. That's it.
I feel you on that. I think I do agree, he doesn't have the riz. Or I don't even know if it's not that he's not charismatic, because I think that KD is interesting when he speaks. I think that he doesn't have confidence. And I know that seems crazy.
Confidence in what, though?
Listen, when we come forward, I'm going to break down why I think that we go through all of these changes with KD. And I think it has to do with a lack of confidence. And I'm not going to blame it all on the fact that he's a Libra. We'll get into it on the other side. All of that and more. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Ooh, if this is what you've been dreaming of, you can get it. That's what you want. I'ma get it, follow me, girl. Baby, come and get it. Baby, come and get it. I just want you to lay you down. Oh, my baby. Yeah, yeah, yeah.